After being reborn, I made up my mind to stop obsessing over my childhood friend Joel. On his birthday, when they hung up a sign that read, "No dogs or Zoe allowed," I packed my bags and flew to Hawaii far away from him. When he said the scent of my presence in his house made him sick, I quietly moved out. When he declared that after graduation, he didn't want to breathe the same air as me in the same city, I left without turning back. And when he said that my presence might cause misunderstandings with his first love, I simply nodded and soon announced my new relationship publicly. I made choices completely opposite from my past life because back then, I had gotten what I thought I wanted. I married Joel. But his first love had jumped off a cliff, and he called me her murderer. He tortured me, abused me, until he dragged me to my death at the bottom of the ocean. This time, I just wanted to live well. Later, when I was holding hands with my new boyfriend, Joel blocked my path, his eyes red with fury. "Zoe, if you come back with me now, I'll forgive you for this joke." Chapter 1. No entry for Zoe or dogs. Seeing that familiar sign at the entrance brought tears of joy to my eyes. My name Zoe was listed right beside dogs, as a form of humiliation. But no one knew how happy I was in that moment. I had been reborn. I had returned to Joel's birthday party. To everyone else, I wasn't worthy of him. Whether it was my background or my appearance, we were worlds apart. He was the heir to a wealthy family, and I was an orphan with no parents. An innocent childhood game had tied us together for over 20 years. Everyone pitied Joel. Even he pitied himself. That's why he had put that sign at the gate to keep me out even though I had dressed up carefully for the occasion. "Zoe, it's not that we don't want to let you in. This is Joel's decision," said one of his close friends coldly, delivering the message. "Be reasonable and don't make this harder than it needs to be. You'll only embarrass yourself." 2 security guards stood at the entrance, armed with electric batons. All this preparation just to deal with me. Everyone knew how much Joel despised me. In my past life, I couldn't enter the party either. Like a stray dog, I waited outside from dawn until nightfall. Eventually, I collapsed from the cold and a high fever. When Joel's parents found out, they scolded him and hurried to arrange our wedding. On our wedding day, his first love, Roma, jumped off a cliff. In Joel's eyes and those of his friend's eye was the murder. He sought revenge for Roma, subjecting me to years of emotional abuse, neglect, and torment. I tried countless times to file for divorce, but each time he rejected me. He looked at me with disdain and said he'd rather drag it out until I died. I endured 20 years of being ignored, treated like I didn't exist, and reduced to nothing. In the end, I went mad and threw myself into the sea. The most ridiculous part was my final moment when I saw Roma return, reunited with Joel. She hadn't died. She was alive and thriving, a renowned international designer. Her love story with Joel, their reunion and passion was celebrated by all. From start to finish, I was just a fool. But this time, it would be different. I was going to live for myself. And I would stay as far away from Joel as possible. Chapter 2. I turned and walked away without hesitation, ignoring the stunned stares that followed me. When I returned to Joel's house, I took off the heavy, suffocating dress. Everyone knew I was Joel's doormat, his loyal puppy. Whenever it came to Joel, I planned everything 10 steps ahead and made it perfect. He had mentioned more than once how exhausted he was from work and how badly he wanted to relax. So I had carefully planned a schedule and arranged a trip to Hawaii because he once said he missed the beaches and the ocean. But in my past life, Joel never accepted the Hawaii trip. Instead, he chose to go hiking and camping with Roman. I was ordered to join them. In the pouring rain, Joel sent me to fetch Roma's bracelet. I fell off a cliff, broke my leg, and spent 2 months bedridden in the hospital. That feeling of hitting rock bottom, of being abandoned by life was something I never wanted to experience again. Walking away from Joel was my first step. I quickly packed my suitcase, grabbed my documents, and headed downstairs. To my surprise, Joel barged into the house in his formal suit. The moment he saw me, he let out a cold laugh, snatched my suitcase, and threw it aside. I frowned and demanded, "What do you think you're doing?" "I should be asking you that," he snapped. "What is this, Zoe? Are you 5? Still playing the runaway game? What's next, another suicide note?" He was breathless, glaring at me with contempt. Seriously, Zoe? This is your childish way of threatening suicide again. I brushed the dust off my suitcase and replied calmly, enunciating every word. Who said I was going to kill myself? People like Joel and Roma, he with the heart of a wolf, and she with the loyalty of a dog, were living so well. Why would I want to end my life now when I had a second chance? Joel scoffed but said nothing, his eyes full of scorn. Roma, who had followed him closely, finally spoke. Zoe, if you really wanted to attend the party, you could have just asked Joel. You two grew up together like siblings. He wouldn't have said no. But using suicide as a tactic. It may have worked once, but doing it again is like crying wolf. Her words dripped with malice. Joel's eyes darkened, his gaze toward me full of disdain. Suddenly memories from high school flooded back. That was when Joel and Roma started dating, and everything changed. I was hurt and angry, so I left a note saying I'd jump into the river. It scared his parents so much they ordered Joel and Roma to break up. From that moment, Joel hated me. He ignored me and refused to speak to me. Roma's little group isolated and bullied me, and Joel did nothing to stop it. I looked into his eyes and calmly explained, "You're overreacting. I have no intention of killing myself. I'm packing because I'm going to Hawaii." Joel let out a mocking laugh, as if my words were nothing more than a desperate attempt to save face. Roma gently tugged on his sleeve. "Joel, why don't we let Zoe join us?" "She looks so sad," Joel frowned, hesitating for a moment. But I rejected the offer once again. "That won't be necessary. I'm going to Hawaii." Joel's expression darkened slightly, then twisted into a sneer. "Did you hear that? She's going to Hawaii. Zoe, stop making a scene." Roma sighed softly and stepped forward, taking my hand. Her manicured nails dug deep into my skin where no one could see. The pain was so sharp that I instinctively shoved her. Roma fell to the ground, cradling her hand delicately like a fragile flower. Her eyes widened with disbelief, lips trembling. "Zoe, you Chapter 3. Zoe, do you have a death wish?" Joel's reaction was violent. He shoved me hard, and the back of my head hit the stairs. The pain blurred my vision. I could hear Joel yelling furiously. "Have you become addicted to hurting others? Just having you in this house feels like breathing toxic air. You disgust me." I bit my lip, enduring the pain, and cut him off before he could hurl anything crueler. "I'll move out. Don't worry." "You'd better," he spat, his rage stuck in his throat as he shot me a fierce glare. Then he scooped Roma into his arms and stormed out. I reached back and felt the sticky blood on my head, and suddenly, a memory from the past surfaced. When I was 15, things between Joel and me hadn't been this strained. I had already known about our engagement and believed we were destined to be a family. That's why I followed him everywhere. He was rebellious, often sneaking off to internet cafes to play video games, and I always went with him. Once he got into a fight, and when I tried to stop it, I ended up with a cut on my finger. Back then, Joel had reacted like a wild beast, beating the guy until he begged for mercy. He used to care about every little scratch I got. Now, he hurt and insulted me without a second thought. But it didn't matter anymore. Once his parents returned, our engagement would be annulled. I turned to a nearby maid and forced a weak smile. "Could you take me to the hospital? I'll pay you." The young maid hesitated, but before she could move, an older maid grabbed her arm. "Are you crazy? Don't you know the young master hates Miss Zoe? If they see you helping her, you'll lose your job." The young girl gave me one last look before running away. I shook my head and let out a bitter laugh as I picked up my shattered phone. Joel's parents were rarely home, only 3 or 4 days a month. Joel ruled the house, and he had told me more than once, "You're not part of my family. Your problems are yours alone." That's why no one dared come near me. Every time I returned home, any leftovers that might have remained were already in the trash, tied up and ready to be thrown out. The table always empty. I had long gotten used to it. Forcing myself to stay upright, I went to the hospital. The doctor diagnosed me with a concussion and advised 2 days of observation. Once discharged, I went home and began packing. The maids watched me coldly as I struggled to gather my things. That same afternoon, I finished packing and moved into a hastily rented apartment. It was only temporary. Once I graduated, found a job, and dissolved the engagement, I'd finally be free of everything tied to that house. 3 days after moving out, Joel called me. His voice was slurred. Was drunk. Where are you? Private room, A12. Come now. I was working on my resume when the call interrupted me, irritating me slightly. What do you want, Joel? The line went silent. Even the background noise seemed to fade. I called his name again, but got no reply. Just as I was about to hang up, he finally spoke. Zoe, where the hell did you go? I kept typing, barely paying attention. You said living in the same house as me made the air stink. So I moved out. Relax. I'm not coming back. His breathing grew heavier before he let out a cold laugh. Zoe, when did you become so obedient? Weren't you the one who used to cling to me, begging and pleading? If you're so obedient now, then why not leave the city altogether and vanish from my life? I don't care what game you're playing, but if you keep bothering Roma, I'll make sure you regret it. My fingers trembled as I tried to control the mouse, staring at the computer screen. It took a moment for his words to fully register. His mocking voice rang out again through the phone. What? No response? Aren't you tired of these pathetic little tricks? Apologize to Roma, and I'll let you come back. I inhaled slowly and answered with a steady voice. Sure, Joel. I promise you I'm leaving. Before he could reply, I hung up. Chapter 4. I received my diploma. The job applications I had sent out began receiving responses. The most promising offer came from a major company in a nearby city. I quickly scheduled an interview. Getting a job was something I had longed for my entire past life. I was nervous and excited all at once. But just as I was boarding the train, I got a call from the company I had been hired. Sitting on the high-speed train, I eagerly searched for available apartments. The thought of finally escaping Joel filled me with joy. But just as I stepped off the train, my phone rang. It was Joel. As soon as I answered, his sharp, cold tone hit me like ice water. Zoe, where are you? My good mood vanished instantly. What do you want? His voice turned even colder. My parents are back. They want you home for dinner. At dusk, I returned to Joel's house. At the dining table sat 4 people, his parents, Joel, and Roma. The tension in the air was thick, and no one looked pleased. Whatever had happened while I was away clearly hadn't gone well. I kept a calm expression as I walked in. Joel glanced at me briefly, then tossed his chopsticks aside and stormed upstairs. I'm done eating. I'm sick of this. Roma quickly followed him. I sat quietly next to Joel's parents. They fumbled through awkward excuses to justify Joel's behavior, but I didn't pay attention. I looked at the 2 people who, in my past life, had felt like parents to me. When they found out Joel had locked me away, they tried to rescue me. But by then, he had seized full control of the family, and there was little they could do. I never blamed them, I only blamed myself for being so naive. Gently, I said, Uncle, Andy, I've been thinking a lot these past few days. Joel and I were not compatible. He doesn't love me, and I don't love him either. Rather than chaining ourselves to a miserable future, it's better to let go. Let's annul the engagement. Joel's mother's face tightened, and tears welled in her eyes. Does it really have to end like this? I nodded firmly. Finally settling this matter lifted a weight from my chest. Before leaving, I went upstairs to collect a few things I'd left behind. On the way, Roma blocked my path. Zoe, can you give Joel back to me? I'm pregnant with his child. This baby can't grow up without a father. Her eyes were red, tears streaming down her cheeks, making her look utterly pitiful. I instinctively frowned and took a step back. Then, Roma's expression twisted into something dark and unsettling. Suddenly, she grabbed my arm and violently flung herself backward. Zoe, don't push me. The baby. My babby, it hurts. She tumbled down the stairs, blood pooling between her legs. Joel burst out of his study just in time to witness the scene, his face twisted with rage. Without thinking, he slapped me hard. Zoe, you're heartless. People always said you were abusive, and I thought they were exaggerating. But now I see it with my own eyes. What do you have to say for yourself? If it weren't for you, Roma and I would have never broken up. Why do you always ruin everything? Joel's parents came out of their room, and Roma clutched her belly, wailing even louder. Joel turned to his parents and shouted bitterly, "Look at the wife you picked for me." The pain from his slap blurred my vision and made my ears ring. But staring at his face filled with hatred and betrayal, I didn't hesitate. I slapped him back, twice. "Calm down," I said coldly. "As of today, I am no longer your wife." Chapter 5. Joel, I'm done with you. Joel stood frozen, completely stunned. I rubbed my stinging hand and nodded slightly to the two elders at the door, whose expressions were impossible to read. "Uncle, Auntie, I'm leaving now." Without waiting for a response, I walked straight out. The moment I stepped outside, my legs gave out, and I collapsed by the roadside. Joel had hit me, with full force. My cheek burned with sharp pain. In hindsight, I should have slapped him a few more times. Joel had always been like this, never on my side, always quick to point fingers and blame. Roma thrived on playing the victim, manipulating everyone around her. In high school, I suffered endlessly because of her schemes. Once, she was locked in a bathroom and screamed for help. I rescued her, only for her to run into Joel's arms and subtly suggest that I had locked her in there. I didn't even get a chance to explain. Joel refused to believe me. Eventually, I stopped trying to defend myself, but that only made the accusations pile up. "Excuse me, do you need help? Should I take you to the hospital?" I squinted and looked up. A man dressed head to toe in a black hat, black mask, black clothes stood beside me. With that look, he was either a celebrity hiding in public or some kind of weirdo. I was about to decline when my head spun, and I fainted. When I woke up, I was staring at a familiar white hospital ceiling, the harsh scent of disinfectant in the air. Next to the bed, a man with golden curls rested with his head down. I looked at his soft, wavy hair and couldn't resist reaching out to touch it. It was perfect. He woke up the moment I touched him. Our eyes met, and he immediately blushed before scrambling to adjust his mask. But one look was enough. I recognized his famous face. He was the center member of a popular boy band. I was about to say something when my phone suddenly rang. Of course, it was Joel. The curse of my life. Swallowing my disgust, I answered. His voice was hoarse, filled with fatigue and sorrow. "Zoe, Roma had a miscarriage. I lost my baby. This was my first child. How could you be so cruel?" While he wept on the other end, I remained cold and unmoved. "Joel, you can always ask your parents to cancel our engagement. It's not hard. Our marriage is just a verbal agreement. One word is enough. Why haven't you done it? Is it because you want to keep eating from both bowls, blaming one for not jumping into the other? Or is it because I've been your loyal doormat for so many years, and now you don't want to let me go? Joel, you're really pathetic." I ended the call and took a deep breath. The young man beside me gently advised me not to get agitated. "The doctor said you have facial injuries. If you're a victim of domestic violence, I can introduce you to a lawyer." I turned to look at him. Dressed all in black with a mask still covering his face, he had soft, puppy-like eyes that made him seem easy to intimidate. I gave a faint smile and lowered my gaze. "There is something you can help me with." Chapter 6. Didn't Joel say that my very existence ruined his perfect romance with Roma? Fine. That same day, I posted a photo of two hands and twinned a long, pale, beautifully defined masculine hand holding mine in the shape of a heart. The caption was simple and direct: "Official announcement." The moment I hit post, the comment section exploded. "What's going on? That hand doesn't look like Joel's. Zoe, what are you doing? Delete this right now." Joel's party animal friends jumped in immediately, leaving comment after comment. I watched in satisfaction, then calmly set my phone aside. "I know you. You're that famous boy band member, right?" The man scratched his head, a little embarrassed. "Our group has disbanded. I'm no longer in the spotlight." After spending some time with him, I had a clear picture of his personality. He was so covered up he could pass for a celebrity, a recluse, or even a total weirdo. I smiled. "Thanks for helping me twice. If you don't mind, I'd love to treat you to dinner." He hesitated, unsure. I added, "If you're busy now, we can do it another day." We agreed to have dinner 2 days later, my last day in Jiangcheng before moving to Haicheng. Over the past few days, I'd already shipped most of my belongings to Haicheng. All that remained were 2 small suitcases I planned to take with me. Ever since I posted that official announcement, Joel had been calling me like a maniac. I blocked him. When he started calling from other numbers, I even considered changing my number altogether. One time, I accidentally answered and Joel's voice exploded with accusations. "Zoe, what the hell is this? Are you cheating on me? How did I not see that you were such a snake?" I took a deep breath, suppressing my irritation. Ever since I woke up and stopped feeling anything for Joel, I realized he didn't have a single redeeming quality. In fact, he was downright foolish. "Joel, I rarely say this, but honestly you disgust me. So you're allowed to be with Roma and even get her pregnant, but when I post a single photo, your friends come after me like moral police and you scream at me? What am I to you, a pet? Or did your parents buy me? Joel, why don't you ask them? Our engagement was dissolved long ago. I'm single and have nothing to do with you. Whatever you and Roma have love or hate, it's none of my business." Joel's voice trembled with disbelief. "What did you just say? Our engagement is over?"
No.
I don't agree. His tone was so intense and certain that for a second, I was stunned. But I quickly gathered myself and answered with calm finality. "It doesn't matter if you agree or not. We never had an engagement party. You never acknowledged me publicly as your fiancé. And everyone knows that you and Roma are the real couple. Honestly, Joel, your opinion no longer matters." Chapter 7. After that day, Joel's parents called me several times. The 2 elders asked if I would come back. I firmly rejected their offer. I had worked too hard to escape that place. There was no way I'd return. On the day I had dinner with Sam, he showed up once again, completely covered from head to toe. I understood it made sense. His face was far too recognizable. I booked us a private room, hoping for a quiet meal. But fate had other plans. I ran into that wretched man Joel. He rushed over and grabbed my wrist tightly. "Zoe, you really betrayed me. I thought you were joking, but here you are dining with this guy? Who is he?" "Joel, do you think you're in some kind of CEO drama?" I rolled my eyes and pinched his arm hard. When he let go, I quickly stepped back, shielding Sam. Joel had always been hypermasculine on disagreement, and he'd lose control. He once smashed my suitcase on the ground for no reason at all. His gaze darkened now, glinting with pain. "Zoe, you're protecting him?" I sighed in exasperation. "Who else would I protect? You? The one who's always throwing tantrums? Get lost already. I'm sick of your nonsense. Our engagement is over. We have nothing to do with each other." Joel clenched his jaw, furious. "Zoe, I won't let you go. You killed my child. You owe me another one." What an outrageous declaration. For a moment, I thought I had misheard. "Joel, if you're mentally unstable, go see a doctor." What is your family's massive surveillance system just for show? Roma fell down the stairs on her own, not taking the blame for that. I narrowed my eyes and gave him a meaningful look. In palace dramas, tricks like these don't just frame others, they eliminate threats. We've known each other for years, so I'll give you some friendly advice. Maybe you should start investigating the person sleeping next to you. In my past life, Roma faked her death for 30 years and then made a grand return to China. Abroad, Roma had married an 84-year-old billionaire. Not long after his death, she began an affair with his son. The only reason she left that life and came back here was because her many infidelities had been discovered by the furious wife. She no longer had a place to stay. A woman as calculating as Roma wouldn't risk Joel's child just to frame me.
There was clearly more to the story.
Seeing the shock on Joel's face, I let out a mocking laugh, the same kind he always used with me. I thought I could finally walk away. But Joel stepped forward, eyes red and brimming with tears, blocking my path. "Zoe, if you come back with me now, I'll forgive this little prank." I shot him a look of pure disgust. "Joel, are you okay? You should get your head checked." I brushed past him, taking Sam with me. "This place has such bad energy. Let's find a better restaurant." Sam obediently nodded. Chapter 8. A friend sent me a link, suggesting I take a look. When I opened it, I saw Roma live streaming from the hospital. She was crying hysterically, accusing me of causing her miscarriage. Playing the victim, was her specialty. With the hospital setting and a diagnosis as evidence, it was easy to convince viewers. Roma guided her audience to harass me online. My social media was flooded with hate, friend requests, and nonstop calls. Every time I opened my phone, it was another wave of insults. Even old classmates, whether close or not, jumped at the chance to get attention. I was furious but also a little amused. First, I reported everything to the police. Then I called Joel and demanded he hand over the surveillance footage. But no matter how much I prepared myself, I still underestimated how shameless Joel could be. "Zoe, if you want to clear your name, the footage is at home. Just come back to me, and I'll give it to you. I've seen Roma's true colors. I won't get involved with her again. From now on, Zoe, I belong to you." I nearly gagged. I recorded the call and hung up. This time, I started my own live stream and publicly responded to Roma's accusations. I also filed lawsuits against those who used the situation to slander me. Joel's own words were enough proof Roma wasn't a victim, not even close. Some users began piecing together the facts, while others demanded Joel release the footage. Under public pressure, Joel's parents forced him to comply. The truth behind Roma's miscarriage came to light. Apparently, she had even signed a contract to launch her entertainment career, but now she was completely ruined. Because of the false accusations, I requested a delayed start at my new company. Thankfully, they were understanding and offered legal support for my lawsuits. After settling into the new job, I changed my phone number and deleted every one of Joel's friends from my contacts. 6 months later, I returned to Jiang City on a business trip with my boss. I had wanted to visit Joel's parents, but my schedule was too tight. Still, fate had other plans. I ran into one of Joel's old friends. I never had a great impression of him, but he recognized me instantly and greeted me excitedly. "Hey, have you talked to Joel lately?" Sensing he was dying to gossip, I shook my head. He immediately spilled everything. After that whole mess, Roma went crawling back to Jolan. He paid off her debts.
Milio.
But she wasn't satisfied. Joel dug deeper, and surprised she wasn't nearly as in love with him as she claimed. "Turns out, none of it was your fault, it was all Roma. Can you believe it? She hooked up with at least 5 of Joel's close friends.
5.
And guess what the baby she lost? It wasn't even Joel's. Everyone in Jiang City knows now. Roma's gone completely mad trying to marry rich. Joel couldn't take it, so he sued her to get his money back. Now she owes millions and is looking for some old tycoon to rescue her. But Joel's not doing great either. He fell out with all his old friends, and they all turned against each other. His family's not what it used to be. I hadn't expected such a mess behind the scenes. But honestly, it was exactly what Joel deserved. On the day I left Jiang City, Joel waited outside my hotel, desperate to see me. Thanks to the hotel staff, my boss and I took the VIP route and caught our flight without a hitch. Back home, I was welcomed by the smell of delicious food. As soon as the door opened, a man came out of the kitchen wearing an adorable floral apron. "You're home. I've drawn your bath. Go soak, and dinner will be ready when you're done." This was what happiness felt like. I wrapped my arms around Sam and hugged him tightly. "Why are you home so early today? Didn't you have work?" Sam whispered. "My agent said I'm transitioning into film. They found me a movie script, so I'll be spending some time training and staying out of the spotlight." My eyes lit up, and I playfully bit his shoulder. "So, you'll be free for a while?" I wrapped my arms around his neck, grinning mischievously. "Carry me inside now." Chapter 9. Sam and I hadn't planned to go public so soon. At first, he thought about leaving the entertainment industry altogether. But his agency convinced him to stay, and he signed a 3-year contract. His transition into film was a huge success, and now he only accepted movie roles. His fame was still growing. So much so that even going on a date meant sneaking out at night. Sam was getting fed up. He secretly designed a ring and proposed to me. I said yes. "Zoe," I turned instinctively. The moment I saw who it was, my smile vanished. Joel emerged from the shadows, walking toward me step by step, eyes locked on mine, his gaze reddening by the second. I frowned. "Joel? Who gave you my address?" Joel answered softly. "I sent someone to find it, Zoe. Don't be afraid. I just want to talk. I felt Sam's hand tighten around mine. I patted it gently, signaling him to give us a moment. Reluctantly, he stepped back, glancing over his shoulder at me again and again. I couldn't help but smile. He looked so adorably concerned. Joel inhaled shakily, his voice breaking like he was on the verge of tears. Zoe, are you doing okay? My expression turned cold as I answered honestly. If you hadn't shown up tonight, it would have been a perfect evening. Joel looked at me with that strange expression again, like he was trying to read something hidden beneath the surface. A chill ran down my spine. What do you want, Joel? He shook his head. My parents miss you. They can't stop talking about you. A friend told me he saw you, so I asked someone to find out more. That's all. I just wanted to see you, to make sure you were okay. I didn't let my guard down. There were too many stories these days of exes turning violent. Well, now you've seen me. I'm doing perfectly fine. Tell your parents to take care. Maybe I'll visit them sometime. With that, I turned and walked away. I spotted Sam waiting under a tree, looking bored. I quickened my pace and ran toward him. Did I keep you waiting long? Let's go. Bonus chapter: Joel, I was reborn. Back to when I was 26. I was thrilled. I ran out of the house, but something felt different. The mansion was gone. There was no trace of Zoe. The house was empty, lifeless, as if no one had ever lived there. I ran around like a madman, searching everywhere, but no matter where I looked, I couldn't find her.
Mom. Dad.
Where's Zoe? Where did she go? Their temples were grayer than I remembered. They looked even older than they had in my previous life. My mother gave me a flat, indifferent look. Why are you looking for her? Weren't you the one who threw her away? Stop thinking about Zoe. You broke her. She won't forgive you. The joy and hope I had felt evaporated instantly. It was like someone had taken a shovel and scooped out my heart, leaving me hollow and cold. When I kept pressing, my parents finally told me everything. In this life, I had repeated the same mistakes. From the day of my birthday, Zoe had started acting differently. I guessed maybe she had been reborn too. And for a moment, hope filled me again. If Zoe had also come back, maybe she would understand. I began searching for her everywhere. But the wounds I'd left her were too deep. There was no trace of her. Luck wasn't on my side. Half a year later, I ran into an old friend by chance. I wasn't the proud young heir I used to be. My family's fortune had faded. Things weren't like they used to be. I greeted my friend, and he told me he'd seen Zoe. Apparently, she was living in the neighboring city. I cleaned up, dressed properly, and went to her home. And that's when I saw her, walking hand in hand with another man, laughing softly, completely at ease. At that moment, I knew I had lost her forever. Zoe had moved on. But I couldn't accept it. If this was the end, why had fate given me a second chance? I called out her name. She turned to me, her face filled with displeasure. I asked if she was doing well.
She said yes.
And I was happy for her. At least she was still alive.